Here we are in the southwest Nightingale Range on the southwest edge of the Sahwave intrusive suite. We're actually in the metamorphic rocks that are just outside where the Pluton contact is. This canyon is the canyon leading up to MGL mine. We're about halfway to the mine up that canyon. And so the Sahwave intrusive suite starts right up there, basically where this canyon forks. That wall of mountain there with the more rounded outcrops is the Granites of Juniper Pass. Intruded about 92.6 million years ago. And so right here, we're maybe 100 meters away from that. And so there's a couple things to point out at this stop. One is just in terms of the rock types here in the country rocks. There's a lot of marble. You can see that blue-gray marble right there, and calc-silicates. You can see all these sort of classic calc-silicates here with differential weathering between the more silicate and calcareous parts. And you don't normally see all that many calcareous sediments on the east side of the Sahwave intrusive suite. On the east side, this intrusion is emplaced into the Triassic and Jurassic jungo terrain, which is almost entirely shales and siltstones. You know, occasional quartzites and coarser grained rocks, but there's very little limestone over there. There's one or two little thin places, but mostly it's a deep marine environment that is recorded on the east side of the Sahwave intrusive suite. Here, on the other hand, they're pretty thick packages. You know, from here to up there, most of this is carbonates or calc-silicates, and so there's sort of multiple sort of 100-meter thick scale layers of calc-silicates here that you never see anything that thick of carbonates on the east side. So that difference in lithology may be a sign that one of these major strike-slip faults, post-Jurassic strike-slip faults like the Mojave Snow Lake, Idaho Shear Zone, for example, might cut through the middle of the Sahwave intrusive suite. The other sort of thing to point out here is that despite the Sahwave intrusive suite being over 40 kilometers across, there's relatively limited, spatially limited deformation in the surrounding metamorphic rocks. So if we were just to go down to the canyon down there, 100 meters that way, you'd basically see very little deformation or metamorphism related to the Pluton behind us. And so, basically down in the canyon looks the same it does, 2-3 kilometers further, where it's basically very low grade, maybe lower green schist facies metamorphism, a little bit of folding, but nothing serious. And once you get up here to it's only when you get within about 100 meters like this that you start to see strong deformation related to the intrusion of the Sahwave intrusive suite. And so, the form that takes here is, first of all, you can see on these foliation surfaces, we have a sort of strong subvertical lineation. And you can also see that there are these vertical axis tight little folds in here. That basically are curtain folds. See, it would appear to be with their axes parallel to the lineation. And so there's some sort of constrictional deformation going on here that is in fact stretching the rocks in the country rocks in the metamorphic aureole, but it's only a very thin aureole. Other thing I'll just point out since we're here is you can see in the metamorphic rocks, there are all these little blobs are actually grossular garnets that are growing in there. So it's also within the metamorphic aureole here. So now I'm about 150 meters upslope from the last stop down there in the metamorphic rocks. So we crossed the contact between the metamorphic rocks down there and the granodiorite of Juniper Pass up here. The contact is somewhere near the confluence of the streams down there. Unfortunately, it's not exposed very well because there's lots of colluvium here. We come up and look at the granodiorite here. You can see it has a very similar appearance to the granodiorite of Juniper Pass at its type locality at Juniper Pass, which is about 40 kilometers to the northeast of here. You know, in detail, there might be a little bit less hornblende here in the mode, and that's tiny bit finer grained, although the being a little finer grained here is probably just because we're within 30 meters or so of the contact reef. So that might just be a chilled margin effect.